Hey guys, it's Ollie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, by request, I am doing a snail care guide. This is for garden snails, not like giant land snails or like aquatic snails. I would love to have a giant land snail, but they are illegal in the US, so that sucks. But it's okay, as I have the small versions. Snails are great because you can cohab them most of the time. Be careful because some snails will eat other snails, so just be knowledgeable about what species you are keeping and keeping together. But a lot of snails do like company, so again, just check your species. Mine live together and they do great. Now as for size, typically the rule of thumb is 1 snail per gallon. So I have a 10 gallon, but I only have 6 snails in there. They fit really comfortably, they don't really need a lot of space. So as you can see, I have some hides. I have a humid hide here. I have a little cork cave and this little stump hide. They like to spend a lot of their time in those. Now I have 4 cornerospersums, which are these guys here, and then I have 2 Mesodon thyroidus, which are hiding somewhere. I don't see them anywhere. So as you can see, they have a lot of leaf litter. They like to hide in that. It also provides food for the springtails I put in here. Springtails, I think, are important for snail enclosures because they eat any mold that might grow in here. So in order to reduce that or any other kind of fungus or anything like that, I put springtails in here. They also have a lot of moss. You can get this from outside and treat it. There's a lot of tutorials on how to do that on this platform. Or you could buy it. Mine is from a pet store. You can also just get some from Amazon. Just make sure when you do, it doesn't have any pesticides or anything like that on it, and you should be good to go. I also have a bunch of cuttlebone in here. This one's a pretty old piece. Another thing to remember is you don't really want any rocks or anything hard, because if they were to fall from up here and land on a rock, it could potentially just break their shell and you would have a severely injured or a dead snail. So the substrate I use is EcoEarth. I'm going to be switching to organic topsoil. I think there are probably others you can use, but those are the only 2 that I'm knowledgeable about. So on to heating and lighting. They don't really need any, as long as you kind of give them a day and night cycle. Some species might need warmer temperatures. Mine are both native, and mine both do fantastic in just room temperature, so I leave them at that. Alright, so snails have kind of evolved to pretty much eat anything and everything. The things I would avoid are things like milk, bread, rice, pasta, anything with herbicides or pesticides, of course. You want to completely avoid salt for obvious reasons. And like pits and hard seeds are pretty much a no-go as well. There are a lot of controversial things with snails and their food. A lot of the controversial items I just avoid just to be safe. This includes things like onions, regular potatoes, citrus, celery. Also, no cucumbers. Snails really like cucumbers, but they have little to no nutritional value and they can get addicted to it, so it's just better to avoid it than have unhealthy snails that are now addicted to cucumbers and will starve themselves before they eat anything else. And with really any animal that is considered a pest, just make sure you wash all the food you give them really well. So personally, I alternate. I like to give mine dandelion greens, carrots, sweet potatoes, apple, banana. They like all that kind of stuff. Try to avoid iceberg lettuce because it is mostly water, but romaine lettuce is great and they love it. Most snails just have preferences, so when you get your snail, just kind of learn what they like and go with that. So today my snails are getting protein. Most snails do need protein. They are omnivorous, so you want to make sure that you give it to them. Mine eat protein like once a week, or at least I offer it. They don't always eat it. They're pretty good at self-regulating, but I offer it along with some veggies. So I alternate a lot on what protein I give my snails. I will give them egg that is unseasoned. I like to boil mine. I've heard you can do scrambled. You don't want any oils or butters or anything like that in there, just egg. I also sometimes give them freshly killed mealworms and kind of make like a mush out of it. You can also give cat kibble if it is a very high quality of cat kibble. You want to soak it so it's not too hard. Another one of my favorite things to give them is actually a snail mix you can get on Etsy. I will link that down below. So my top 3 for protein would be the oats, the premix, and the eggs. They seem to love it and they do great on it. So snails should eat like twice a week-ish. It depends on your species. I like to offer mine 3 times a week. They don't always eat it, but it's fine because a lot of the food I buy them comes in bulk anyway. As for calcium, they do need calcium supplement. However, it's not like a lizard where you sprinkle it on their food. You instead just put some Cuttlebone in there and they will self-regulate that. So this is some Cuttlebone. It's really dirty because it was in my snail enclosure, but you can get it like in the bird section at Walmart or a pet store, and it's just like really brittle bone from a cuttlefish. So put it in there, they chew on it, and that's how they get their calcium. You do not need to add calcium to their food at all. Don't do it. They can actually just get too much calcium and it messes up their whole thing. Let them self-regulate. So misting your enclosure is very important. You want it to stay nice and humid because if you don't, they're just going to end up drying out and it's not going to be a good time. They will die. I like to mist the glass when I mist my enclosure because I like to drink the droplets. So another thing for maintenance is that once a week I check for eggs because snails are hermaphrodites and they will mate as long as they have another one of its kind. And even if you do want babies, you want to go through and check so you can hatch them properly. They have more of a chance of you hatching them specially than if they do hatching in the tank. What you can do if you do find snails, as sad as it might seem, you can freeze them. So if you find eggs and you don't want the babies, you freeze them. It doesn't hurt them. Don't release them to the wild. It's really bad for the ecosystem. Just don't do it. But sometimes I'll spot clean it. You want to make sure you get all that food out of there and all of that. But that's pretty much it for the upkeep, other than, you know, misting their enclosure down and all of that. My enclosure does have a screen lid. This will let out humidity pretty quickly, but in my area it seems to work just fine. But also, weigh down your enclosure because they will get out. So I use rocks for now. I'm going to actually get lid clamps. But yeah, just make sure that they can't get out. And when you take the lid off, just be careful. Take off the rocks slowly. I've learned this from experience. And very gently take this off to make sure there's no snails on the lid that are going to fall, and that there are no snails along this rim that you're going to knock into and then fall, because you don't want them to hurt themselves. So just, you know, do that and you should be good to go. I just wanted to add that. No one ever seems to talk about it. I don't know if it's just a me problem, but yeah. So I don't know, I wanted to show you because I think it's kind of interesting and not a lot of people expect it. So see that orange on him right there? That's poo. They do that because he ate carrots yesterday and their poop is normally the color of what they ate. So no one really talks about that. So a lot of beginners don't know that and they freak out thinking that something's wrong with their snail. Nothing's wrong, he just had some carrots yesterday. Alright guys, that was pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed and learned something. Let me know if you're going to get a snail in the future, and if this video helped you prepare for your pet snail, or if you already have snails. I'd like to know. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram. I will link that down below, as well as the Etsy shop I mentioned earlier. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!